Let's go.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Graph Builders Office Hours. Here we are in beautiful Cannes at ETHCC with good friends from EVVM, Herman and Kevin. And before we get into more of our conversation today, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's been, I think we have 140, almost 150 episodes of the Graph Builders Office Hours, and it's been a wonderful time bringing developers who are building in the Graph ecosystem to you. And on that note, I want to say welcome to another episode, you guys. Tell me about, if you can, just for the viewers, for a first introduction to what you guys are working on, and then we'll back up and get the whole story. So first things first, what is EVVM and what are you guys working on?
We are working on virtualization of blockchains. We're working on virtual blockchains. We are taking leverage of the current infra that is deployed and there is not very used in all cases. So we want to take that and push the boundaries of Ethereum, what can be done today.
Yes. Is that accurate, would you say, Kevin?
Yeah, literally abstract anything, like abstract all the chains for benefit of all, not only for your benefit, for investigations, for banks, for enterprises. So literally abstract anything.
Amazing. I want to get into the details about this, but before we go into the details and the technical details and all the things about the product that I know and I'm aware of, let's back up and let's tell the story of EVVM. Is that something we could do right now? Because this story to me personally is close to my heart. I met Herman 3-4 years ago and we were at, you said ETH Denver. And at the time I was so busy running around, I didn't even know we met. I feel bad about this still to this day, but we had our first really good conversation in Waterloo. And at that point, I was judging a hackathon, and I remember this project that came up. Could you describe this project and what you guys worked on and what that eventually became?
Yes, we met at Denver when I was applying for the Graph bounty, building something using tokenized protocols. And of course, I remember with who were the judges.
Yes, and at that time I was probably sweating and teams were running everywhere. And like, oh my gosh. And so, yes, I apologize. Still, I feel badly.
Then in Waterloo, we started solving a problem that Vitalik was telling a lot. That was why we have so expensive transactions. We have to do something. So we realized that if we just use the mempool for spreading the transactions around the nodes, and then we capture them and execute them in another chain that in that moment was Gnosis, the transaction will work. We can sponsor the gas that was sent. Maybe we can charge something in exchange, and we were using the graph, but I think we were using already substreams that were not documented yet and were not launched officially yet.
No, they were essentially in shadow launch, and nobody really knew about substreams at the time. You and your team, I think it was you and a few others. Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. And you guys decided to look at substreams, go ahead and index and essentially create a blockchain ledger in the mempool, and being able to have transactions and be able to have them be nearly free on Ethereum. I remember that submission, and I still to this day am amazed at your ability to look at the lowest level possible and then leverage it into your advantage. That was an incredible project. What was that project? And that project eventually became Rolamate, right?
That was Rolamate. Then we pivoted to ACID chains in ETC 2023. That was a little more approach to what EVVM is now. That is the evolution of all this, because ACID is the thing that can separate the ether.
Yes, okay.
So we were splitting the ether, Ethereum,
clever,
to mempool and state, and we were putting a new state between, using the same mempool but a different state, and doing checkpoints and all the things, because it was the evolution of Rolamate. Rolamate was for gasless transactions on mainnet when a transaction costed $2 to $3, and we sponsored the ones was 8 transactions, 1 cent on Gnosis. So this was like 400 leverage on cost instantly. And then in ETC, in France, in the global also, we went deeper into the infra. We say, okay, this is interesting, but we were always looking to make it deterministic, permissionless, and transparent, for the users, and reliable. decentralized, and a lot of words that sounds very nice.
Yes. The build kept on progressing for years. You have this ACID project. And then, Kevin, when did you guys meet? How did you guys meet as part of this project? Was it around that time? Was it before? How did that go?
Like before of us chains, I was in Mexico like 2024, right?
23.
23, right, a long time. So I was participating on the IT Global Online Hackathon, if I remember it online this was. Herman wants somebody to help him with one project that is migrate NFTs to another blockchain or another contract without separating the NFT part. And after that, they see my work that was very, very efficient, very clean, and like
True.
I've seen your docs.
Yes.
They're nice.
Thank you. But yeah, and the rest is history.
So
Okay.
we start working with Kevin as an intern, and now he wrote more than the 95 to 100% of the code. Now there is other devs also, and other people collaborating. The first releases was like rewritten. First were written by Arthur.
Okay.
He was the core dev, the CTO. That was first. When Arthur founded another company, he told us that he will be like just advisory and helping. We were very early, and that was an door open for Kevin. Kevin was a full stack. I say, hey, Kevin, we see that you have not potential, you have what is needed.
Right.
So do you want to take this position? It requires these compromises, requires this commitment to what you do as work. And he said, yes. And well, now he's the technology leader of the project.
Amazing. Yeah, I see you guys working together. I see the results. And now you guys have been working together for over a year now? About a year?
No, he's with us say 3 years.
3 years.
Two
Okay.
years.
Okay. Got you.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah,
3
yeah.
years. Okay. So 3 years.
Yeah. It's early.
Yeah, early. And that so it was just from that hackathon you guys met in Mexico and then brought him on right from
It's
there.
always.
Okay,
we're
wow.
hackers.
That's how I got brought on as developer relations, to have relations with these developers here. I'm very happy to be bringing this story to the forefront. When you guys had the ACID concept, how did you come up with this next concept of EVVM? Because it's not exact. It's a little bit more detailed and a bit more expensive. What was that like? Did you see something in the market that informed you that we needed to push into this direction? Was there something that you felt was an inefficiency? That was a purely efficiency play? What was the play that was the first idea that is now EVVM?
Well, I can tell part of this. Maybe Kevin remembers more. But in one moment, we say, hey, this, what we are doing for Rolamate works for almost anything. So our product is not anymore gasless transactions. Our product is now a virtual blockchain environment. And we discussed a little and then we say, yes. But do you remember when it was exactly that we say this is the project?
Like
So we made a pivot. When?
2.5 years ago, first with the mempool stuff, we tried to connect all the stuff. And we see the code.
MetaMask. Yes, I remember.
And not only.
I said like 200 wallets.
Okay.
Yeah, we analyzed like all the wallets.
I want to hear this story. That sounds like a good story.
Yeah, it sounds like a real story because I was investigating about the all the wallets in
All the research.
Yeah, all the research. But we see like they're not developer friendly, or even in all the Ethereum stuff, it's like
They don't follow standards.
don't follow standards. Don't follow any standards, any wallet. Not
Yes,
was
okay.
the final decision. We figured it out like, okay, not only you can send transactions inside a mempool, but for example, maybe you can send SMS message or any kind of message.
We needed to do that. We needed to say, okay, wallets are not working. They are not respecting gas specification. They are not respecting no specification. They don't add the EAPs that are for improvements and save gas on the transaction. So we said with Kevin, let's start using an API. and we use our own backend and we emulate the functionalities that we want. And also it's fine because the async nonces, we need to invent them because the wallet's inefficiency. We
Right.
didn't saw this use case of
Right.
async nonces that is great. We just were solving a small problem.
And also you found a perspective that is essentially the lowest level logs that are able to be useful. Potentially, I wouldn't call them logs, but mempool. And being able to insert into that, I'm sure shaped everything that is today with EVVM, where you're looking at how you can use existing infrastructure that is being supported by these nodes all over the world in this decentralized blockchain to then insert your product. And so investigating the problems in wallets essentially brought you to this idea. So it was more of a technical curiosity that from there you discovered this landscape. Am I saying that correctly? More of a technical curiosity of optimization.
Yes, you can take curiosity or nightmare.
Well, I'm happy you guys were able to find this landscape to jump into. From that initial investigation into wallets and understanding that real problem, they were not following standards, and now we have EVEM. Take me through the process of that, where now we have this new landscape, and here we are at ETHCC, and you are sharing EVVM. And so what was one of the first features that you wanted EVVM to have?
Well, one of the first features we implemented to be programmatic, to be EVVM, was the abstraction of the tokens. So with programmatic, we only make transaction for Ether. So instead of just making Ether a simple transaction, why not just implement all the tokens, abstract all the tokens inside? But not only that, it's like, okay, but what amount goes to what account, what address, and we implemented that address pointer, and like, okay, other wallets are completely broken, so we need nonces. But what if we have async nonces? Like, okay, we implement the async nonces.
Speak more on this async nonces, because it's a new concept for me. Nonces, essentially, for the audience that doesn't understand, is basically a counter to be able to make sure that we have things in order and make sure that things are organized on the ledger.
And reused. Yes.
And reused. But why is async nonces such a feature?
In the traditional nonces, we have the continued number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you need something that going to be implemented in the future, maybe like a panic button for your DeFi transactions, or maybe you want to make a transaction for the future, maybe something happened. So if you follow the typical nonsense transaction, it's going to be like, okay, you don't need to make any transaction anymore because you need the second number to be implemented. If you use that nonce, well, you need to redo that transaction. But with async nonces, you can have all the future transactions, or maybe use that kind of nonsense for one product, or maybe for one DeFi product.
Is it, let me just see if I can understand this. Async nonces essentially, is it batching these nonces and waiting for them to come? I'm trying to understand a little bit more detail on that.
You can batch without a queue.
Without a queue. That's okay. Got it. Okay.
You can, but you see something interesting, because the example that was Kevin talking about DeFi.
Sure.
For example, you can send a lot of async transactions and store these transactions on chain, because they can be processed later by a contract.
There it is.
There is something else coming.
Okay.
Do you want to explain this message sender?
Yeah.
It's optimizing compute.
Yeah, optimizing.
Okay.
But there is a lock.
Before we're talking about this, even for the AI era, the cloud, all this stuff, if you can interact with the simple transaction in Ethereum, if your AI try to change something, hallucinate a lot, well, you can lose money. Imagine like you want to send, I don't know, $5 to a friend because you own a beer, for example. But when you talk with your cloud, it's like, okay, we need $5 for my friend. You made $500 for Luis that is in some place. Okay, right on. with EVVM, it's more like complete permission. So you sign like, okay, $5 for my friend. This is the async nonce you need to interact. It's gonna be in 3 days. Okay, if you AI hallucinates it can do the transaction because they need the same input. And you have this time log they can use with async nonsense. And one interesting thing about this is the executors. So we had two types of executors. We had the sender and the origin executor. For those that are not technical, in Ethereum, we had two types of calls. One is a sender. He is the last person to execute that transaction. That address can be a smart contract, can be a user, external account, etc., etc. And we had the TX origin. That is the first person, obviously gonna be a external account, that execute that chain of transactions. So with this, you can point it out what service, EVM service you want to execute that, and who is gonna execute. So for example, in this AI era, maybe you have some addresses for your agents. So you can literally say, oh, this agent, they can only execute DeFi stuff. This is only for my friends and my family because I need to send money. And this is just for the DN stuff. So if one agent tried to execute that transaction that maybe is the DN stuff, but try to execute that family stuff, they can do that because they are pretty locked. It's like giving a ticket just for that address, and they can only execute that address only.
And that really feels like an unlock similar to, and for those who don't know, async is essentially timing things in a way that's appropriate for the computer to compute. Being able to do that in the blockchain as such a ledger-based, organized, sequenced technology, and having another option for developers to actually organize one layer deeper, which is something that EVM can't do, but EVVM can, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go to another feature. One thing that first caught my eye in this TradFi DeFi intersection that we're living right now in the market, where TradFi is coming and saying, we would like to buy, and DeFi is doing its very best to organize itself, to prepare for these buyers. What you guys are doing is providing a blockchain within a blockchain.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? For the audience, why do you want to have a blockchain inside of a blockchain? Why does that matter for this intersection between TradFi and DeFi? What's attractive for that?
Hackers.
Yes, yes.
and this
It's
sounds
cool.
And this sounds very cool. Hacker.
It's very hackerman cool. But why would a bank be interested in this environment that you're creating on Ethereum?
Well, I can give you an example. Maybe I'm from Mexico, so I'm going to be a simple example. In Mexico, we have one called Banco Azteca. So imagine this. One person Banco Azteca tried to make a blockchain, Azteca chain, and can be only executed by the bank only. But what if I tried to hack in by social hacking and said, yeah, I'm the CEO of Banco Azteca, or I'm the security person for Banco Azteca. We need a approval for those nodes. Okay, we have 10 nodes right now, but you're gonna implement like 21 nodes. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make the approval for 21 nodes. That's okay. And suddenly, yeah, the non-Mexicans, they're really North Korean saying, yeah, we need to hack that.
Yeah. So security.
It's
so
security.
Nothing
security.
against North Korea.
They have skills.
I love this part, but it's just a simple example. But at the end, they tried to make the 41% attack, and all the money that was inserted in this Azteca chain, they are literally gone.
Right.
Wow.
You feel security is the best play for TradFi coming into this play, looking at EVVM.
Yeah.
This is one. There is
Just one. What's
another case that is very interesting. That is blackout. There is another use case that is the composability with the stablecoins liquidity.
Oh, yeah. Let's dive into that.
Arbitrum, Base, but Mainnet has a lot of stablecoins and a lot of liquidity there. If you deploy your private environment there, you can do a compliance blockchain, virtual blockchain, where only certain addresses that already passed a KYC, that is compliance with the necessary authorities, will be able to interact between this ecosystem, but they are composable with the whole ecosystem around that exists already on the chain where it's deployed, Ethereum-based Arbitrum. adding privacy.
That's a huge one. I was hoping you'd get to the privacy aspect of it. That fascinated me. With blockchain being a public ledger, huge advantages to that and huge disadvantages to that.
Yeah.
And with banking specifically, why is this combination of privacy and accessibility to these stable coins and then also security? This sounds like a good feeling for someone coming in to interact with EVVM, at least if I was to be a banker.
Well, adding CK vaults and full homomorphic encryption, both one of the other, you can add confidentiality on transactions among this space, this virtual machine that is inside and is deployed on chain. Or you can add privacy, so you don't know who is sending to who something. But as these people, these addresses are KYC'd and AML by an organization that is the deployer of this EVVM, in an infrared way, adding all the security that exists, this is compliance and it's fine. And they can also, from inside, if the compliance rules admit it, interact from inside to Aave, to Uniswap, and to other protocols that are already deployed on the chain, inherit all the privacy. And the best part, abstracting everything. They don't need to connect to an RPC because everything could be relayed by the bank. So it's also a gasless experience for all the users. I don't know if you want to add something on this.
Well, not only you have the full liquidity and all the security part, but one interesting thing I see on banks or even enterprises is like, yeah, we want to make fully on chain. We want to make their own chain, but they see like, okay, I need nodes. Okay, I need IT people with specialities in Web3 and blockchain systems that there are literally 5 people and 2 right now, and I'm down working in another bank. So this is the biggest problem they have. Like, okay, they want to go fully on chain, but the money they need to make on education and nodes, etc., etc. They are pretty big.
It's incentives.
Yes.
You need to create an incentive economy or pay for all. That is centralization.
By lowering the bar for entry, you guys have done what I think a lot of teams are trying to do piecemeal, but you have somehow found a way to leverage the advantages of blockchain and the disadvantages of blockchain and respect both of them very well and find the real incredible middle ground that can provide privacy, security, the scalability of being able to essentially have any access to any other EVM chains, liquidity, and all be private. It was, as soon as I heard this and to know this came from a hackathon rooted years ago and from building in this foundational layer of the blockchain, I'm just so excited for what you guys are working on in this next chapter. Users I want to talk about that you have right now. You have not, this is not just hypothetical right now. This is in production, correct? You guys are seeing developers use this product. And how is that going as you're seeing your product get out there and getting feedback? How's that been?
Yes, there is devs using, interacting, and trying to build their own projects, leveraging EVVM and the possibilities that brings to them. They are mainly interested now in the UX part that is abstracted completely, so the interactions can be done very easily. Also, some are interested in the reward system that the EVVM has already integrated inside, because we were thinking in different parts of the solution, and what advantage that an EVVM provides is that when you deposit liquidity to an EVVM, the host chain liquidity, stable coins, ETH, whatever, you will have that in a contract that is a treasury. So in the meanwhile, you interact inside with the synthetics that you do all the TradeFi or all what you need. You can be generating yield constantly with this treasury. So there is some interest in this. Now we are talking with banks. Entity Data is a Japanese company that is helping us on approaching to the banks. We just met someone from the Ethereum Foundation.
Yes.
Ethereum Foundation, institutional.
Yes.
Yes.
Shout out, Kyle.
Yeah, that we met before and we didn't know 3 years ago.
Yes.
And he wants to hear more about it, because we can give institutions what is needed, and what the people need for institution is public transactions between them, EVVMs for everyone, and private transactions for their users inside their ecosystem, because they are already compliant. And this is also brought by EVVM today.
Amazing. Yeah, to have this brought today, I'm really excited for you guys. I'm curious, as you guys are clearly hackers, clearly builders, clearly passionate about being on the bleeding edge. You guys and I mean, ETH Global, that's where we started. Is there anything that you'd like to say to any hacker who's getting into blockchain and curious about this space? You guys have come from being introduced to blockchain years ago to now having a product and getting it into the market. Is there anything that you'd like to tell to hackers out there that you might give them some guidance?
Yeah. One thing I can say is like build for results. Because everyone is like, yeah, I'm gonna build this and this because I want to make a enterprise, etc., etc., etc. No, because there's the one thing, the AI stuff, and blah blah blah, and like, okay, that's good, but just for a 2-day project. But if you build for the results, I can tell you as experience, begin to it's not just for funny or for the ha-has. They begin to see like, okay, there is potential in this. And not only for the laws, if you want to do that, but see around your community. It's one important thing. Not only for the crypto community, for your local community. See like, okay, there is a problem maybe with the money flowing. Maybe blockchain can solve this part with AI maybe. Because we are seeing just in the crypto community and we are literally echo chamber. But if you yeah, absolutely. If you see around your community or maybe a friend community, you can see more solution in that. Maybe not only economical, but maybe in the artist way. Maybe in another solutions can be literally solved if you look that and you find that spot, that niche that can really make an enterprise about that.
I love that. Chase results and get the results, not just fun. Fun's fun.
Yeah.
But get the results that can make an impact.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. And any thoughts that you like to say to any hackers that are getting started in blockchain?
I will also say that they can take hackathons and these projects to meet with new people. I always every time I went to a hackathon, always be sure to do a team with new people, to meet more people. And I was always trying to choose a senior on some knowledge and a junior in some knowledge as well. So you can also learn how to teamwork. That this is also very important. Learn how to teamwork. It's something that is good for us, for everyone. And regarding the project, do research is good, but don't be afraid to show what you have built on the niches, on the forums or the newsletters, where the people that is the topic that you were building on, where they are, because they want to see you are not showing off in a bad mood. And it's important because you will be surprised at how many welcomes you will get and invitations to go further on this and deeper, at least today, because we still too early and communities needs more participants, the builders community especially.
Yes. And with that, I feel like we've had a wonderful interview. We were able to talk to well-seasoned builders with a product in the market. For those watching who haven't seen EVVM, how can users or builders or execs out there go check out EVVM and see what you guys are building?
If you want technical stuff, go to evvm.info. You can have all the documentation and all the information. Even we have a LLM TXT if you want your typical AI to ask you questions or maybe develop some things, you can ask there.
And if you want to see general things, you can go to our X that says Rola Mate.
Mate.
Here you can see here in the video Rola Mate.
Yes. I'll get it in there for sure.
Here, Rola Mate. I move it around. Let's see what the editors can do. Our editors.
I am there.
I'm sorry.
It will be done. Well, thank you guys for your time, Herman, Kevin, and click. Yes, and thank you for attending another episode of the Graph Builders Office Hours. Until next time, take care, everyone.
Thank you, The Graph.
All right.